Okay, guys, 8 new income producing properties hit the South Florida market tonight. We're going to check them all out. But before we do, we're going to get a quick update on our interest rates over the last 7 days. The Federal Reserve just dropped that average and it looks like good news, guys. So let me get to it so you guys could check it out for yourselves. We're going to come here and you could see, guys, and this was the story. This has been the story now for, the last couple weeks. Interest rates had been, pretty high up there and they had been falling, looking great all the way to here. And then the thing with Iran kind of started and interest rates just went like whoop, all the way to the top. And then as of late, the last 3 weeks now in a row, 1, 2, 3, they've been dropping. So that's good. We were at 6.46, almost 6.5, down to 6.37, 6.30, 6.23 as of today. So we should be seeing those interest rates come back down. That is really nice. And so, that's good. If you already have a property under contract, it's even better because you hopefully were able to use the high interest rate to negotiate yourself a better number from the seller. And now you're going to be able to close with better numbers. Remember to ask your lender to rerun your numbers based off today's interest. Okay. They could do that. Don't let them lock you in at a high interest rate. All right. So that being said, that's the number that we're going to be using for the next week. Okay. So keep that in mind, 6.23. Now let's take a look at the actual market, see what that's looking like. If it's probably the same as before. And so you can see new houses on the market, 2,051 new houses coming onto the market over the last 7 days. And over the same amount of time, 2,032 houses saw a price decrease. Okay, so again, 1-to-1 ratio, houses coming into the market, houses having a price decrease. And what does that mean? It means that the probabilities that any house, any listing that we see today eventually have some sort of price decrease is pretty high, especially if they're in any kind of case overpriced. Okay, but still, I would use that even for the properties that might be like an A. We want them to be S's, and properties that are B's, we want them to be A's, right? And so you could go out there, talk to the listing agent right away, try to get yourself a nice little price decrease. Blame it on these things, blame it on interest rates, blame it on, there's a lot of people like selling their homes. There's a lot of inventory out there. Like let's get under contract. Let's get this thing working. And try to get the seller a little bit even more motivated if they're not already motivated to go ahead and just give you that, go under contract and tell them that you're going to have a quick close. Get the number from your lender and how fast he could close. Most lenders, especially the experienced ones, once they underwrite you guys, if they do a really good job at underwriting you, then they could promise to close, and it's going to be rushed and kind of like you're going to be like, balls against the walls, especially with your inspections and stuff, but they could close as fast as 2 weeks. So if that helps you negotiate, a good couple of percentage points from the asking price, it might be worth it, right? But again, always make sure to do your due diligence. I'm not trying to tell you to cut any kind of steps, especially in the inspection process. But all tools, all levers that you could use to really try to negotiate the price down as much as possible. Okay, that being said, let's take a look at the properties that hit the market today. And we're going to come over here. Give me 1 second, guys. Got to plug in something right here. Hopefully I don't go offline. I did this the other day and I went totally offline. I don't know why. All right. Cool. All right. Still online. Nice. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to come down here, right? And we're going to look at the new multifamilies that have hit the market. Okay. Like I mentioned, it's 8 properties. Like, we like to sort this by price per square foot, starting with the highest and work our way down. We have a nice list today, guys. We have a nice list. Everything is below $400 per square foot. That's really good. So let's take a look at these deals. I'm going to throw them up on the calculator. Guys, we don't have the buttons. The buttons don't work today. Kind of like set something up with the calculator and all the buttons basically disappeared. So apologize for that beforehand. We'll just have to call them out as we go along. So with that being said, 1 quick second. Hope that you guys are taking notes. I take notes every single time that we do this. You guys should be taking notes as well, right? You guys want to be listing down the most important factors of each one of these properties. So I always like to start by the asking price. Here we go. So the asking price for the first property here is 950 grand. They're currently paying $7,642 a year in taxes. I like to know how big the property is just so we can have an idea. 2,641 square feet. So it's pretty big. All right. They don't tell us how much the rents are. All right. Let's see. They don't tell us the rents, but they do tell us it's in a mixed flood zone, A, H, and X, which means you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium on terms of insurance. Let's take a look at the quality of the product. Okay, so it's two separate structures plus a whole lot of space. Okay, what county is this? And I forgot. Miami-Dade. Okay, all right, not bad. All right, guys, so 950. Right now, they're telling us it's a triplex in Miami-Dade. Okay, and they don't tell us the rent. We're going to find that out. So we don't know what the returns could be. All right, let's look at the pictures. Let's look at the quality of the product. Right away, I'm not impressed by it. The roofs do look newer. Okay, but the side you could tell here, it hasn't been pressure washed in quite some time. It's got some mildew, mold, whatever growing on that, but it's on the outside, so that's fine. Now it does say aerial view. Photos have been digitally enhanced to best showcase the property's features. I mean, yikes. I hope that they didn't enhance the roof pictures. It doesn't look like it, but I hope it's just this outline here. Yikes. Yeah, so this is you could call this a fixer-upper. Wow. Look at all the laminated stucco here. I mean, hopefully it's just paint that's peeling off the concrete, and so it just looks terrible. If that's the case, that could be a win for us. On the inside, not looking anywhere near as close as bad as the outside looks. So not mad at it. I'm looking for water damage, guys. Look at this. Look at these patches here. You know, is that why they put a new roof? So is it taken care of, or am I going to inherit some water problems? Is there mold in the unit? Is there mold in the property? You're going to be, you can use that to negotiate your price down. They might tell you to go, kick rocks, but once you find mold, and you report it to the listing agent, it should be their duty to make sure to put that in the disclosures. Okay, so let's take a look at the quality. We already saw the quality of the product. It's below mid-tier, I would say. Okay, let's look at the description of this property. He says you're in Miami, and investment journey starts here. Versatile triplex offers a perfect combination of unit variety and lot size, featuring a 3-2. Okay, so now we have the unit size, a 3-2 plus a 2-story building with 2 additional 1-1s. So it's a 3-2 and 2 1-1s. All on a 14,000 square foot lot with concrete block construction. Okay, so that's good. Okay, according to miamidade.gov, so he doesn't even know for sure. Whether your house hacking, yada, yada, yada. Zone 1500, sold as is. Photos have been digitally enhanced, da, 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 sold as is. Strictly, seller will make no repairs. Oh, well, that's fine as long as he decreases the price. All offers must include proof of funds, yada, yada. All right, cool, guys. So, he did say a 3-2, but he puts here that it's a 3-1. A little bit sloppy there with the listing. He says that it's rented on a month-to-month basis, but he doesn't say how much. So that's right off the bat, guys. We don't know. So we're gonna have to do a quick price check, guys. So it's 2 1-1s, right? In Miami-Dade, the median is $600. Let's give them like $1,450, okay? Because the inside doesn't look too bad. Let's assume that they're paying $1,450 there for the 1-1s, and for the 3-2. Let's assume they're paying $2,500. Actually, we're going to decrease this price down to $1,250 based on the current condition. Okay, and that brings us to $6,000 a month. And so I think that as is right now, guys, as is, this property could collect $6,000. Okay. I think as is, yeah, again, the $6,000, even though they don't tell us. Now, once you fix this up, guys, okay, I want to show you guys where this property is at. right? So I think that realistically, if you were to fix this up, do I think that you could get median prices? Yes, I think that you could get median prices, and at that point, right, the one you could get $1,600 for it. The other one you could get $1,600 for it, and the 3 bedroom you could get. I had put 3,500, and no, it's 3,000. So I think that as is $5,500. Sorry. Once you fix it all up, um, you get $6,200. So with that being said, guys, what are the returns if you're able to, like best case scenario, right? I think that if you rent it out, right, you could maybe get this at best, at best, at best. And is it realistic that you could drop the price on this? I think so. I think that you could probably drop this to like 880, maybe, right? But what would that bring this up to, right? I think it would bring this up to a 10.2%, okay? And that's being very generous, right? That's being very generous because even if you get negotiate this guy down this much, you're not going to be able to rent these places out at median rents because remember, this right now is below median. So you'd be renting these out like at around like $1,300, okay? And then the 3-2 maybe like around like 2750 at best. And what are the returns at that point? 7.6% at best. Okay, 7.6% at best. 5350. Yeah, so you get up to $6,200 a month here in rent, but you're gonna have to put money back into the deal. So again, right? I think that the way that you could actually rent it out right now is for these prices, which would make the returns on this a 7.6, and that's if you could negotiate, right? Yeah, 70K off the deal. That's for negotiating $70,000 off the deal. Now, if you were to fix these up, right? It's 3 units. I would say that you're probably going to be putting 30,000 into the 1 bedrooms each, so that's 60K, and then you're going to probably be putting like around 50K in the 3 bedroom. So now you're 60 plus 10, 110. So now this deal is looking more like 990, right? 990, but now you're going to be able to get the full like $1,600, right? 1,600. Maybe you could get a little bit more for the 3-2, 3,200, and that would bring your your returns to a maximum of 9%. Okay. So at worst, I think that you're going to do 7.6% returns. And at best, after renovating and all this stuff, but again, you're gonna have to put money back into it, you're gonna do at best 9%. So for that reason, this property fails for me across the board, right? You can see here, like, even if the best case scenario, like 880, and you were to increase the rents to like 1,600 and 3,000, you wouldn't cash flow, right? Even if you did 3,200, I don't think. Yeah, well, at that point you could cash flow, but that would be very unrealistic, and I don't want to like mislead you guys into kind of like seeing that, or like misguide you, better yet, into something that like I think I wouldn't do. So I wouldn't do this property, even though like again, you're not going to be able, I think, to decrease these prices and not reinvest money and get median rents. But I could be wrong, so make sure to check out the rents. Okay. All right. With that being said, let's go on to our next property. Okay, next property is $895,000. Oops, let's go here. Next property up, an $895,000 fourplex. It's in Miami-Dade too. Okay, and they're saying that they're collecting $1,300 a month in rent. That's questionable. And flood zone AE, so you're going to pay a bit of a premium on that. Let's see, 895, 895, 1, 2, 3. All right, taxes, $12,113 a year in taxes. Square feet, 2,508 square feet. Whoops, there we go. All right, and then the rents, they're saying that they're collecting $1,300 only. That's wild, okay? Hopefully they mean per unit. Let's look at the quality of the product. Okay, so very mid. I like that they have the terrazzo flooring still. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. Um, yeah, it could be upgraded. Okay, so I need some upgrades there. Yeah, it's only bad thing about the terrazzo if you get this split down the middle. All right, box AC is not the best. The light has this freaking cable running, you know. So it could use them. It could use some love for sure. This property could use some love. It looks like the tenants do take care of it. At least they keep it clean. This one looks like it needs a lot of love. Um, yeah, you could just tell the difference between like right, like one set of tenants to the next to the next. Crazy. All right, guys. So we saw the quality of that product. Let's see if we could get some more information on this. Excellent opportunity in Miami. It's actually 5 units, guys. So this is a commercial multifamily. All right. It's 100% occupied. They said offering stable cash and strong rental demands. All units are 1-1s, ideal for the local market. The property has recently completed its 40-year research, reducing immediate capital expenditures for the new owner. The current rents present upside potential, allowing for increased income and improved rents returns. Centrally located with easy access to major highways, public transportation, yada, 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 yada. This property is also available as part of a 10-unit portfolio and can be purchased individually or together at an investment scale. Call us anytime we pick up. Okay, so 5 units at $1,300 a piece. So that's kind of what I thought. So let's put $2,600 here, right? $1,300 here. Whoops. 13 here, 13 there, and 13 there. Okay. Well, right off the bat, it would be a little bit difficult for us to get a loan on this property just because the debt service coverage ratio, right? Basically, the amount of the rent that the amount of the mortgage that the rents are able to pay, we would like that to be at 125, right? So we would want the rents to equal, 25% more than what the mortgage is. So in other words, like you pay the mortgage and you're still left with 25% left over. And the bank likes to see that just because if one day you have a vacancy in one unit or you have expenses, they know that other rent's going to be able to give you that income, so the property could pay for itself still. Okay. Now, so it's very tight. They usually like to see 125%. They usually don't lend anywhere below 110, and anything below 110, between 110 to 125, they're going to charge you extra points. They're going to charge you extra interest points. Okay. So with that being said, like again, this kind of fits where it's at in the 1% rule. It's a 0.73%. Let's do a rent check real quick. Okay. Let's do a rent check. And let's see. So we're in Miami-Dade. They say that it's 1-1s and they're rented right now at $1,300 a piece. I could agree. So I think it passes the rent check. Okay. Where is it at in terms of return on investment at this point? 9.5. Okay. So it's at a 9.5 right now, which means that this property does below the S&P, which is not something that we're interested in, guys. It's not something that we're interested in. So now the question becomes this, guys. The question becomes, could you actually raise the rent in this place, right? Because we know that the median in Miami is $1,600 a piece. Is it possible then to say equals 1,600 times 2 here, and then 1,600 here, 1,600 there, and 1,600 there? Right? Because if we could do that, then this property could give us returns as high as 17%, which would, for me, put it in like a B plus tier, like a solid B tier. Okay. And oh wait, yeah, did we drop the interest rates? I think interest rates, they dropped to 6.23. Okay, so maybe it looks a little bit better. Say 6.23. Okay, so 17.4%. Okay, so again, solid B, solid B. All right. Now, the question is, right, could you actually get these rents in this area for this quality of a product? that's where you would need to do additional homework. And whether it's Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, or calling your local real estate agent and saying, hey, buddy, get me the closed rents. That's what you want to use, the closed rents within a tenth of a mile of this property. Or you could say a quarter of a mile of this property, okay? And see what you can do. Because if you, again, right, let's say you spend $20,000 on each unit, right? Just putting floors and renovating the bathroom, right? And then let's say you do the kitchen. The kitchen's going to be like another 15. So you 20, 35. So 35 times 5. So now you're spending, right, like, Jesus, 150K, right? 150K. Well, can you take off 150K from this, right? And then it would make sense. So, but I don't think that you're going to be able to actually do that. So I think that it's actually more, it's 165K. But what you're going to be able to do is, I think you could probably take off, like, I wouldn't say $90,000. This guy probably wouldn't take an offer higher than like, or lower than like 825. So at 825, right? So equals 825, 123,000, right? That's why I think that he could have a realistic price drop. And we are going to decrease the, actually, no, we're going to add 165K. So now you're paying $990, right? But you're going to be able to get these rents possibly. Okay, you got to check the area and make sure that the current market could afford that. All right, but in that case, then the returns of this property could be as good as 13.3%. Okay, so it could be as good as 13.3%. And if you don't do that, right, if you just leave the price as is, 895, right, and you leave it at 1300 equals 1300 times 5, if you're able to negotiate that difference, right, then the best return here again is a 9.5. Actually, wait, you said that we could probably drop this to 825, right? So maybe we could jump up to an 11. Okay. So I would say that, yeah, at best this property is a C kind of property. But it does have some potential, especially if you could, again, reduce that price down to 825. It could make you cash flow on day one, right? So again, reduce that price. If you were to keep the same taxes, you got to make sure that you look at those taxes, but you would cash flow on day one with a 25% down payment loan, okay? Otherwise, it does, and it barely cash flows, guys. Look at this here. So again, this property for me is a very low C. It's like on the low end of the C. It's almost in the D scale of properties, just because it's just barely gonna basically beat the S&P, okay? So again, there are way better properties out there, so I would just keep on moving. Let's discard this one. Let's keep going. Okay, this next one seems to be the other one that they're selling. And I guess at this one too down here. Oh, no, it's not. All right. So it's just this one? Yeah. So it's the same. So I would say the one we looked at was 895. This one's another 895. Yeah, fourplex, Miami-Dade. Yeah, 1300. Okay. So let's discard this property. Okay. So we really had 7 today. All right. Next up, let's look at the quad. Oh, let's see. Let's put the price up. 672,000. It's a duplex. They're currently paying $6,690 a year in taxes. Square feet, 2,124 square feet. Okay. Rents. They don't tell us how much rents are collecting, but flood zone X, which is the best kind of flood zone we want to be in. Let's look at the quality of the product. Okay, this is nice. This is turnkey. You could move. You could buy this and rent it out the next day. Let's look at the guts of this deal. They don't tell us how much we're collecting in rents here, by the way. A fully renovated move-ins, beautifully updated, single-story duplex, yada yada yada. Potential 2 modern, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. A combined, yeah, correct. Okay. Each is currently renting or projected at about $24.50 per month. Okay. So that's what they say, that there's 221s, that they're completely renovated. Well, let's do a quick rent check, guys. They're saying $24.50 each. $24.50, $24.50. Whoops. 2450. Okay, if that's the case, this property is a mid property at best. Okay, but let's do a quick rent check, make sure that they're not bluffing us. In Miami-Dade, a 2-1 could rent for $2,300 in the median market, right? So I think that, yeah, $24.50 is not too far-fetched. I think it barely passes the rent check, but you definitely want to do your own rent check and verify. It matches the median, I think, for the quality of the product. But again, I think the product is a little bit above median, right? It's brand new. They just recently renovated it. But you definitely want to check out the comps, the rented sold comps. Okay, so in that case, right, this property would just get you basically the same as the S&P, and it would land it in the D tier. Now, what could we do? Because I do think that we're at the highest point that the rents could actually give you. So let me just write down some quick things. $672,000. This is a duplex. It's in Miami-Dade. The rent right now, $4,900. Okay, those returns would give you 10.4. Is it possible to increase the rent? I think no. 4,900 is the best he can do. Is the guy in distress? Maybe, but I don't think so. What's a realistic price drop that I think that we could see here, guys? I think that we could realistically drop this price down to about, like, I don't know, probably like some $35,000 or $40,000. I just don't see. I mean, he's so specific with his price here that sometimes that's like a tale of like where they're at. It's like, I cannot do more than this. So maybe forcing this guy, you could do like 642. And at that point, like, it would be an 11.3. And I think that's, yeah. Okay. And that's dropping the price $30K. All right, guys. So a C property at best, sorry, a D property at best, a C property. Okay, next up, let's see what we have here. $600,000 duplex, currently paying $10,931 a year in taxes. Square feet, 1,941 square feet. Okay, rent. He's saying that he's collecting $5,350 a year in rents. All right, if that's the case, it already puts this property pretty good at a pretty good. Almost a B, a solid C, right? And the 1%, I mean, you get a loan on this pretty easy, and it's pretty close to 0.9% on the 1% rule. So right off the bat, this property is not looking too shabby. Remember that we're not on 6.3%. We are at 6.23. Okay. 6.23. Okay, and that would put it perfect. I mean, you could get a loan on this easy. 13.6% returns. Okay, let's take a look at the quality of the product here. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Big pictures. Living room, hallway, living room, kitchen. Okay, bedroom. Interesting. Okay. Bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. Okay. Interesting. So where's the bathroom for the other bedroom? All right. So it looks nice. It looks like you could get it could use a little bit of upgrading, but overall, like, not terrible. Yeah, this is like median price. Welcome to Florida, guys. There's no dirt here. There's only sand. But things grow in it. All right. Yeah. So you could tell. You could definitely, slowly upgrade this unit, because it would totally rent out just as is. All right, it's in Fort Lauderdale, so we're gonna use that rent check part. Let's see what they say about the property. Features two well-maintained three-bedroom, one bath, surrounded by lush greenery. The sand didn't look very lush, bro. Just minutes away from downtown. Da, 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 da. Okay, so 231s. He's saying that one rents for 2,700, and that the other one rents for 2,650. Let's rent check that and make sure it's accurate. Broward County, 3 1s. Okay, I want to say that we wanted okay, that's why, guys. Okay, look at this. I was about to say, hey, BS on the rents, right? Because the max is $2,500, and this is nowhere near, I think, nice enough to be calling for the maxes. Okay, but he is saying that they are renting on a month-to-month basis, and so what does that mean? It means that, you're going to have this uncertainty every single month if your tenants are leaving or if they're staying. Okay. I don't like that. I like to have like long-term peace of mind, right? And less work of having to find a new tenant every single freaking month. And so usually the trade-off is you charge a little bit less for that. But trust me, it's worth the amount of time. Just a couple $100 is going to mean, hours and hours of your time, especially if it is your first property, or, you don't have a property manager taking care of this. So with that, and even if you had a property manager, like, for these kind of properties, they do portfolio. They're not going to really care about like making sure that you have the best and greatest tenant in there. They're just going to put, somebody that could fog a mirror in there, and that's it. So with that being said, I think that these rents are on the high side. I think that more than likely you do end up getting at best what the 3-1 could get, which is probably like somewhere close to like 2,450 if you put somebody in there for the long term. Okay, and now you're down to $4,900. So this $600,000 duplex in Broward says that it's collecting, what was that again, guys? 5,350. And that was 13.6% returns at best. But I think that, that the reality is more like this. Now, with that being said, right, you're going to bring that to the listing agent. You're going to be like, hey, Mr. Listing Agent, I know that you're saying that I collect this much in rent, but but the bank's not going to care about that. The bank's going to care about me being able to get long-term tenants in here. And I don't find anything in the area. Obviously, you're going to do your homework and bring the homework to him and say like, hey, I don't really find anything in the area that actually proves that I could rent this for that much. What it does look like, it's like I'm going to be able to rent it for $2,450. So I'm going to need a discount, Mr. Realtor. And I'm going to ask you, I would say like a reasonable ask here. I would just go for the $50,000 and say like $550, and see what he tells you. And at that point, it's easy for you to get a loan, right? You could explain to him that way too. Like, hey, look, I'm trying to get a DSCR loan, an investor loan. And so the bank wants me to be above 125. If you drop it to 550, I could, convince them that the rents are this much in this area because I have the proof, right? And it puts me right where I need to be, and we could close on this soon. And if you do that, then the return on investment for this property could be at 12.6%. But that would mean a $50,000 price decrease, okay? So that's that for this property. So this property, I think, looked like a very strong B, but in reality, it's like it looked like a very strong C, but in reality, it's just a mid-tier C. Okay, but it's still not bad. Still not bad, guys, because I think if interest rates were to drop, like Grant Cardone says, I think that he says that they'll drop to 4.5% once this whole thing with the rent is over, and I agree. I think that then look at the returns, right? But not going off of speculation, guys, like this deal could, right, still cash flow. If we look at this, right, it would cash flow even with a 25% like an investor loan, it would cash flow on day one. And even with a 10% down loan, it would cash flow in about 4.5 years, right? FHA would take a bit longer, almost 10 years. But again, if interest rates were to drop, guys, and mind you, also make sure to check those taxes, how much they're going to go up to. But if you buy FHA, like if interest rates were to drop, then, look at the difference, right? almost cuts it in half if interest rates drop to 4.5. So that being said, this property could create wealth, which is a nice thing. So, all right. And if you could, because how big is it? 1941? Man, you should have space in there to put another bathroom. Maybe you could put another bathroom. You could find the space in it. Maybe that kitchen's too big. Maybe you could put, another bathroom in there, and then you could really blow these damn rents up, right? Because if you do another bathroom, guys, right, then look at the rents here, right? Max for a 3-1 is 2,500, and we're saying 2,450, so we're damn close to the max there for the 3-1s. But look what the medians for the 3-2s are, well above that, right? So if you could put another nice bathroom in there, it could totally be worth your investment. And all of a sudden your returns, let's say you rent it out for 2,800. I don't see that as impossible to get. All of a sudden you're in the 20s, dude. This is an A property. Double the S&P 500. Okay. All you need to do is find a place to put a bathroom in here. And look, they did give us the little blueprints here. So what if, let's see, living room, kitchen, bathroom for all, okay? These bedrooms are huge. I mean, kind of, right? 12 by 11. What if you're able to make this bedroom smaller, but put its own bathroom? Or what if you could extend this out here a bit and put a bathroom there? I don't know. I'm not an architect, guys. But I know you could figure something out. Okay, same thing here. So that would be a little bit more homework. This could be for me like a more advanced investor. But going in there, calling an architect and saying like, hey, look, these are the floor plans. Can you put another bathroom in here? How much would it cost me? He'd give you a rough idea. You could add it to the price and you could see if it's worth it, because maybe this deal is an A deal. Okay. Just let me put that here. Cool. All right, let's keep it moving, guys. All right, next up, $530,000 duplex, paying $10,537 a year in taxes. Square feet, 1,869 square feet. Okay, they said they're collecting right now $3,600 a month in rent. Well, 36,000. We wish they wouldn't be selling it. All right, that's how much you're collecting, which gives you an abysmal return on your investment. Flood zone AE, you're going to pay a bit of a premium for insurance. Again, look at the look at the location. So not mad. Those are train tracks. Usually don't like to be next to train tracks, but overall the neighborhood doesn't look terrible. Roof looks new. Yeah, a lot of the roofs here look new. It's like not bad. Looks like downtown Fort Lauderdale. Yep, this is right off of Aventura. So this is a pretty good location. Yeah, not bad. But they don't give us a lot of pictures. Let's get to the deal, see if we could figure something out. Great investment opportunity, they say, in the heart of Hallandale Beach. Yep, this duplex features 2 spacious units, each offering so it's two 2-2s, making it ideal for steady rental income. I agree. The property is currently tenant occupied, with tenants in place who are willing to stay, allowing for immediate cash flow from day one. The roof was replaced within the last 2 years. Okay, so he's saying that there's 2 2-2s and that they're each renting out for $1,800. Okay, in Hallandale Beach. All right. So this might be a good deal, guys. All right. Come down here and we'll see what the rents are, right? Because right now, as it is, it's not looking good. You're gonna have to pay part, like if you inherited with these tenants. And mind you, it's on a month to month. If you inherited with these tenants, like you're going to be paying part of that mortgage, okay? But it's 2-2s, and the quality of the product doesn't look that bad. He didn't put pictures on the inside, so it's something we will want to verify. But look at what a 2-2 pulls in Broward County. The median is 1960. As long as the inside of that unit is not destroyed, we'll be doing good. Let's actually take a look here at the property history, see if we can find some of those rentals. All right, no, but the property did just sell in 2023. Let's look at the pictures of that. Yeah, so they changed the roof. Look at the inside, guys. Doesn't look that hot. Yeah, but it's got its own space. Okay. Let's look at today's listing again. Did he say he renovated it? Let's see. The property is current, da 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 da. Roof was replaced in the last 2 years, helping reduce major expenses. Da 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 da. Turnkey. He does say it's turnkey, but I don't see anything that says that they renovated it, apart from the roof, right? But guys, if you were to get just median rents, then you would get more money. 1960. Okay, you could get, I mean, it's still not a lot. It's not enough. All right, I was trying to give this property a chance, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's 530. It's a duplex. It's in Broward. Actually, it's Hollandale Beach. Is that technically? Yeah, it's Broward. Right now, it's making 3,800, and those returns are pretty freaking terrible. 6.5. Is it possible to increase the rent? I think so. We don't know the quality. Don't know quality inside. Maybe we could increase the rents, I think, to 3,920. Okay, but 2-2 should be able to command more money, guys. I think a 2-2 should be able to rent out for at least in this area, dude, like next to Aventura, you should be able to get like $2,400 for this property per month. Okay, but I don't think it's so much in distress, although he did just buy it like 4 years ago or 2 years ago. What price drop is realistic on this? I think it's realistic that you see maybe a $30,000 price drop on this. So down to 500. Maybe you could do like 490, like 40K price drop. And if that's the case, then the best returns that you could get, guys, and if you're able to increase the rents to the median, okay, for the 2-1, so maybe not impossible to do with a little bit of cleaning, then you end up with an 8.8% return. So no, this property is enough. If you were able to increase these rents to 2,400 a piece, then the property would look a whole lot better. It could be a B property, but you would need to definitely fix this property up a whole lot more. Okay, so it would require, again, more investment on your end. So yeah, I would put this property towards the end of the list. Unless you could call him and he just renovated the units. Yeah, so that's that, unfortunately. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna come here. We're gonna discard this property. We're gonna go to this next one here. All right, guys. So next up, 890,000. It's a duplex in Miami-Dade. All right, do they tell us how much they're collecting in rents? No. All right, but they do tell us, again, 890K. Let's put that up here on the calculator. Taxes, $14,860 a year in taxes. Square feet, 3,158 square feet. And rents, they don't tell us. Okay, flood zone A, so you're going to pay a bit of a premium there. All right, let's look at the quality of the product. The quality of the sunset is really nice, but the product itself, meh. Although it does have a garage, so maybe that you could turn that into an opportunity, and build it out. I do like the circular driveway, right? If you could actually clean this up, it could look very premium. Look at these stains on the ceiling here, guys, and it's got some cutouts too. You can see like the lines here from the moisture. You can see this cutout here. They've had problems here. They've taken off the baseboards. They've had water problems here. So yeah, wow, lots of problems. I can't imagine being a landlord and just letting my tenants have that many leaks in the ceiling. It's a flat roof, dude. This is what you get when you get flat roofs. Well, I don't want to say that, but kind of. Okay. Few properties scream slumlord at me, but this one does. Um, let's look at the let's look at the actual listing itself. Okay. Unique duplex opportunity situated on a big lot, 17, almost 18,000 square feet. Well maintained, features 6 bedrooms and 4 baths with tile flooring throughout for easy maintenance. The layout offers blah, 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 blah. All right, so he says that it's a 3-2, okay, a 1-1 and a 2-1. Well, we know that we're in Miami. What are the median rents in Miami? Okay. I don't think that this, you saw the quality of the product, so I don't think that we're going to be getting medians here. But so you're going to get somewhere in between. Actually, I think you're going to get towards the low end of this. So I would say that for the 3-2, maybe you could estimate that you're going to get 2,400, and I think I'm being generous. I think for the 1-1s, I think 1,200 is being generous as well. And I think for the 2-1, let's see, I think 1,600 is being generous too. So I think that the best that this property could give you in rent, right, every single month is $5,200 at best. Because I think that some of these might be, as a matter of fact, uninhabitable the way that they currently are. But let's suppose that he actually reduces the price enough for you to fix these roofs, because you're going to tell him like, hey, Mr. Seller, I want to buy this property, but the roofs and the leaks, I can't buy with that. So I'm going to need a discount, right? So $20,000 per roof, right? So that's $60K. And then on top of that, I think that you're a bit overpriced. Where can you leave this at? Because right now, right, even if you were able to rent this out, I think the best return on this property would be $5,200. If would give you a 5.6% return. Because I think that some of these are going to be vacant because like of mold and water intrusion issues. Okay. How much do I think that you could actually negotiate, or that we at the minimum, that I think that this guy would realistically take off the price? You could easily say like $60,000 for the roofs. Okay. You could say another like $60,000 for like, let's say remediation. So you're up to 120. And then you could just say like, dude, you're overpriced too. So you could take off like another, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. If he's at 890, what do I think that this guy would actually take? 770, 750. I think, yeah, if we could reduce him to 750. So that means bringing it down 140K. What would it look like if you could do that? Well, even at that point, guys, the best return is going to be a 6.5. So yeah, why go through all that freaking trouble, right? If all you're going to be able to do, the quality of the product on the inside is still going to look like crap. You're going to have to put more money into it to fix them up in hopes that you could get better rents. So it's just not worth it for me, especially all that work. Again, there's lower hanging fruit out there, so we're going to discard this one. All right, last but not least, guys, let's see what this is. $890,000, whoops, 890. Fourplex in Miami-Dade. It's currently paying $5,792 a year in taxes. Although if you buy it for the $900,000, believe you me, your taxes are probably going to triple. Okay, but your first year you'll probably pay what this is, your first tax year. So square feet, 3,620 square feet. It's big. Okay, and they're saying that they're collecting $9,300 a year a month in rent. And if that's the case, guys, this property is a winner. Because that is more than 1% of what our purchase price is. And so this would be fantastic. Let's take a look at the quality of the product and see what's going on with this. All right. So it looks like this might be a single family home. No, it's a duplex. Okay. Nice little shed here. I like the pictures. Okay, quality product is awesome. Wow. Wow. Okay. If he really is selling it for this, sign me up. Dude. Now is he really getting those rents? I can't wait to do a rent check on this. Okay, welcome to Wow District, west of Wynwood. Located just minutes from downtown, the design district, yada, yada, yada. The property sits on a big lot, 12,000 square feet. Features two separate structures. County records indicate 4 living units configured as a duplex per structure with 2 separate water and electrical meters, 1 per structure. Okay. The main house features contemporary design, state-of-art appliances, yada, yada, yada. Okay, the roof is 8 years old too. Okay, so he's saying that there's cash only, saying property is owner occupied, rental income provided is a conservative estimate based on local comparables. Please use showing time appointments. So they're not actually getting these rents. Okay, they're saying that they've actually pulled the comps and that this is what you could actually get for this unit. And so let's double check him and make sure that he's saying the right thing. Okay, so it is listed as a multifamily, guys. And it is listed as 4 separate units. So 2 units here, maybe a 2-1 and a 1-1. So unit breakdown, right? 2-1, 1-1, and then another 2 1-1s. So a 2-1 and 3 1-1s. A 2-1 and 3 1-1s. Okay, so far so good. Let's rent check this. He's saying that he thinks that he get $3,500 for the 2-2, which is really a 2-1, but maybe they were able to put a nice bathroom in there. They're able to get $1,500 for the 1-1, $2,800 for the other 1-1. Sounds excessive. And then $1,500 for the other 1-1. Okay. He's saying that the one that he lives in, he can get $2,800, so it must be like baller, and he thinks that he can get that amount of money for it. Let's rent check this. A 2-2 in Miami-Dade, okay? A 2-1 in Miami-Dade rents for $2,300. The most I've seen a 2-1 rent out for is $3,400. Is it possible that next to Wynwood you're collecting $3,500? Maybe. So I would say caution, okay? Then the other one, when he's saying that he's collecting $1,500, do I think that he could get that? Yes, I do think that he could get that actually. He could actually maybe, I think, get a little bit more. And I think that for the other one, he could also get $1,500. I don't think, however, that he could get for a 1-1 more than that you could get $2,800, simply because you could live in a freaking condo, in a really nice condo by yourself, like in a high rise, for that amount of money. And so why would you live in a duplex, even if you're right next to Wynwood? There are high rises next to Wynwood with pools, gyms, like community. So why would you do that? I don't know. There's a reason that also he's moving out, right? He's probably going to go move to one of these condos. So I think that at most, maybe if it's really, really nice there, you're able to get maybe probably like $1,500. No. Let's give him a little bit more. I think that you may be able to get $1,850. Right? And so, I mean, it's still not bad, guys. Like, I might be talking crap, but it's still not bad. I don't think that he could get $3,500. So let's bring this price down a little bit, because I think that, again, it's a 2-2, but it's really a 2-1. Let's give him $3,300. But still, guys, even if I look at that, even by dropping those prices on him, right? It's still looking like a pretty good freaking deal. 0.92% on the 1% rule. DSCR, any bank would lend you money on this. Return on investment, it would be an A. Now, the only last thing that I could pick on this guy is, like, if your taxes go up, probably, which they will, to about $15,000 a year, what do the returns look like? It looks like a solid freaking B. So, yeah, guys, I think that this is a great little deal that you have here in Miami-Dade. This one's also 800. Was it 890, or did I drop the price? 890. I don't think you even need to drop the price here, guys. It just makes sense. But I would go for the price drop. I mean, what's our realistic price drop that I think that this guy would take? Probably, like, if he knows what he's doing, which I think he does, is $875. right? So 875. And that would, yeah, that would be nice. So I think that actual rents right now, it'd be easy to 1500, 1500. Right. So we're going to put 0 here and 0 here because I want to see what the returns are just right now. And they're pretty terrible because it's 2.4% at best. Right? But if you rent everything out, then it's 8,150. I don't think he's in any kind of distress. I think that a 15K drop is realistic, and that would put you at a 14.3%, 14.5% return on investment. Again, that really low tax make this property look amazing, but you got to be a little bit conservative. I mean, you could use the old taxes if it's like within reason, but I mean, like if you buy something in Miami-Dade for 900K, to say that you're only going to pay $6,000 a year in taxes is ludicrous. Um, so, and again, I'm just throwing a number out there because I think it would like probably triple. So, with that being said, I think it's still a pretty good freaking deal. This is like a solid B, close to, yeah, close to an A. So, go for it, guys. I mean, if you round up 14.5 to 15, and then for me, this is an A deal. And if interest rates drop to just what they were in February, 5.98, it becomes an A deal. And if they drop to where Grant Cardone thinks they're going to drop, right, it's a freaking like A plus deal. So, all right, guys, let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will see you guys tomorrow.